Nigeria is a key to the future of Africa and has the potential to become a global powerhouse driving change. But amid the optimism, as the country gets richer, the poor are seemingly getting poorer. So to discuss the good and bad in Nigeria, I'm joined by the President of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan. Many thanks for being with us on the programme. What interests me is how will you maintain the momentum necessary so that the trickle down from the economy reaches the people that need it the most to alleviate what's almost endemic poverty?
I agree that the issue of economic growth in most countries, especially African countries, don't directly translate into improvement of the condition of the people. And we believe that one of the key issues is the issue of financial exclusion. So we are emphasizing on the concept of financial inclusion. And that's the only way you can create an environment, economic environment, that both people at the top, at the middle, and people lower will be able to benefit from it. If we progress with that over a period of time, then we begin to see that the financial inclusion will step up. But one of the robust areas is agriculture. Mm-hmm. We are intervening massively in agriculture. So through that, we believe that over the period, the people at the lower ranks of the ladder will begin to have access. And we believe that if we progress with that in the next 5 years, the story will change drastically.
So that's your timeline, it's 5 years?
Because, I believe so, that 5 years. I'm not saying that 5 years will get every Nigerian middle class, but in 5 years, the story, the percentage of people that will benefit or will be included in the transactions will be quite high.
Power is a major issue in Nigeria. It's something you're working on. And with this growth, if you could forecast this, and again, I'm asking you to put yourself in the position of the economy minister, but if you were to sort out the power situation, how would you predict the growth of Nigeria?
I believe if we sort out power, because power is a major limiting factor, if we sort out power, I'm expecting that our growth rate will double. Though we know that we are proposing to
14%, because
yes, we're growing at an average of about 7% now. But if we sort out power, even if it doesn't double, we may get about a double digit, maybe 10 or 11. Mm-hmm. But because power is key.
And we were talking about timelines before. What's your timeline for that? When do you think the energy sector?
It will not take us more than another 18 months. I'm not saying it will get up to 2 years. When you allow the private sector to get involved, of course they expand because the market is there, and the private sector, they will always want to maximize their surplus values. They want to make money. So the more they generate, the more money they get. If they improve their distribution network, the more money they make. So you will see that within this period, it will not take us more than 18 months, when these figures will begin to double, begin to triple. Some of them are already doubling their generation capacity.
So if we briefly look at the situation in Africa as a whole, we see that power is holding you back, many other African states, but economic integration across Africa seems particularly complicated. What are the main factors holding economic integration in Africa back?
Thank you. Economic integration in Africa is not complicated. We just have limitations. Mm-hmm. That limitations is infrastructure. Infrastructure, especially in terms of moving goods and people across Africa. If somebody wants to travel from Nigeria to some of the African countries, if it is down southern part of Africa, that person will first go to Dubai before you even access those countries. If you are going to the northern part of Africa and some parts of the person go to London before they access Africa. Movement from one country in Africa to another country in Africa has a lot of limitation. And sometimes it's even more expensive for you to move goods from one African country to another African country. It's cheaper for you to even move goods from African country to Europe, or from Europe to sometimes as far as a distant place like China, because the facilities are there. The idea is to create the infrastructure, rail system to cut across, major roads to cut across Africa, so that moving goods from one African country to the other, or human beings that will provide the services from one African country to the other, will be cheaper and easier. We believe that if we're able to attract investors and some of our development partners like EU and other organizations to support us. We were able to build solid modern trade network across Africa.
Another issue that's holding the economy back, again across Africa, is corruption. Now, you've declared zero tolerance against corruption. How is that working? Are you seeing the results?
Corruption is there. I mean, Nigerian, I cannot say there's no corruption in the country. There's corruption in the country. But the perception is stronger than the real. You see, corruption is not just waiting with a stick to somebody to steal money and you hit the head. But our emphasis is to strengthen the institutions so that we make sure that you don't even have the opportunity to steal. People must see visible example. We have quite unemployment situation. For over the years, we've not been creating the number of jobs that the people that are entering the jobs can meet. So when you have so many people who really feel not comfortable, a young graduate has no job for 1-2 years, these are frustrated. They are not happy. And they are meant to understand that it's only corruption that is the problem. So we'll continue to battle with it. We are gaining. We are gaining. I cannot promise anybody, and no president anywhere in the world that can promise that you take corruption to zero level. Just like medical doctors will say that it's difficult to get somebody 100% healthy. But you say you will accept some level of morbidity. No human being will accept any level of morbidity. You want to be 100%? Okay.
Your reputation internationally was dented when you chose to suspend the central bank governor recently, when he said that billions in oil revenues had disappeared. Do you regret that decision?
No. The world will know that government took the rightful decision. I was suspended because of queries raised by the Financial Reporting Council over the audit report of 2012. Let me say you're a president of your country. You sit down one morning and the head of your Federal Reserve banks in Nigeria, called the governor of the central bank, wakes up and tell your people, tell your country that 49.8, that's almost $50 billion, we are missing. As head of your Federal Reserve banks or governor of your central bank. Then the man went back and slept again. After some days, he woke up and announced again, oh, it was not 49.8, but $12 billion we are missing.
So you take
Wait, he went back and slept again. And woke up the third day and said, no, it's not $12 billion, but $20 billion. What will you do? Even for that, I'm not talking about why I suspended him. For him to give a country 3 conflicting figures, which of them will you believe? And how will you describe him? And is he fit to continue to do that work? He had
a very strong global reputation.
No, just forget about it. I don't believe so. People always paid money to get all kinds of awards.
So why did you suspend him for different reasons if really the fundamental
No, I'm saying, why I did not even raise that issue? It's because you raised it. You're talking about, his reputation, his eye globally, his perception. But I'm asking you, somebody who will make those pronouncements, is that person fit to do the work? I did not even mention that in my suspension because I don't want the idea, he blew whistle. He said that money was missing. And that is why he was suspended. No.
Can you say with your hand on your heart that you protect whistleblowers in your country?
How many whistleblowers have we indicted? Because a lot of people, in civil society, so many of them say all kinds of things. In Nigeria is the freest society in the world. We have the freest press. They abuse me every day, and nobody will smile. You look at the false stories and you smile. No whistleblower has been arrested.
President, we'll have to move on to another issue. And you're celebrating the centenary of Nigeria, the unification of Nigeria, but it does come at a time when the insurgency in the north of the country, Boko Haram, is particularly bloody, separatist insurgency. Do you think you can maintain the national unity in Nigeria?
Yes. In most countries, not even only African countries, quite a number of countries have diversity in terms of ethnicity. Nigeria is a country that we also have so many diverse ethnic groups. We have so many traditional kingdoms. In the north, they are called kingdoms. In the north, they are called emirates. These are institutions that were there before we were colonized by the British people. The centennial celebration is to remember where we are coming from and reposition ourselves as to where we are going. Presently, I set up a national conference that is going on. The national conference also to look into some of these gray areas, some of these areas that, instead of helping us to cement our togetherness even stronger, it helps to open up the weak cleavages. So the national conference will discuss some of these things. The issue of terror is not, people try to misunderstand. The issue of terror and issue of the unity of Nigeria is not, definitely, they are different things. The issue of terror was not known to Africa. Over the period, terror gradually started coming up. Osama bin Laden celebrated it. And now the whole of the Arab area, Africa, a terrorist can exploit anything. The terror, even though sometimes they make statements that they want to Islamize Nigeria, they are not even saying they want to separate Nigeria. They want all Nigeria to be Islam. The death toll is high. No doubt about that. Because the terrorists all over the world want to intimidate people. But what I can promise you in this case is that we are working very hard. Yes, not too long ago, there were cases where even students sleeping in their hostels were killed. We are working very well. We're changing everything. And we promise that we'll bring this terror to a conclusion.
What's your response to Amnesty International that said that Nigerian security forces had been accused, and here I quote them, of brutality in their response, that they're too heavy-handed in response to Boko Haram?
That's another area of perception. That's another area of perception. And this is the problem we have all over the world in confronting terrorists. Terrorists don't come to improve human society. Terrorists come. They are very demonic. They come to destabilize societies. Security operatives are expected to obey the international rules of engagement. So, because it's just like you're in a football field. The other team play the way they like. You are meant to obey the soccer rules. You will have challenges. So that is the challenge, and we are trying to balance it. We don't compromise that standard.
But military means the only way to combat them? Are there other means?
No. The military confrontation, we have different, those are the kind of things I expect people to ask. What program has the government to deal with terror? They are different. We have different phases. The military confrontation is the very first line to reduce collateral damage on the civil population. Because without military intervention, they can wipe out the euro market, wipe out a road school, wipe out a road community. So you must stop them from doing that. And that does not stop terror per se. It weakens them, it reduces them. But the key thing about military intervention is to reduce the collateral damage on the populace. But this next step we are doing is to make sure that you improve the economic activities in these areas. Unfortunately, before you can even improve the economic activities in these areas, there must be some reasonable pace. Because nobody will go and do any economic activity in an area where it's so unsafe. So it's a problem. So the military must come in to bring to a reasonable level the issue of insecurity. Then, of course, you improve the economy. Resolving
this is obviously essential as you head to elections next year. Will you be standing in those elections?
It has not. In our country, we have laws and regulations. There's not a time anybody will say stand in election if you say that you are not being fair to the country. The former president said you had pledged that you wouldn't stand. Well, I don't want to join issues with my father. It's my father. But I wouldn't want to join issues with the former president. He's entitled to his own opinion. But one thing about elections is the people. Nigerians will vote for a president of their choice. Myself or anybody has no powers to stop anybody from being a president. So finally, and my final question to you briefly is, how do you rate your first term in office? We're trying. I don't want to rate myself because it's always a bad habit for you to begin to praise yourself. But there are parameters people could use. The economy of the country has been stable over this period. From 2007 to date, the economy has been growing at about 7%. If we had performed poorly, it would have collapsed. And I promise you, my country, and the rest of the world, that we'll get to where we want to go. We have the political will to do what is right.
President, thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.